Why does mommy call Uncle Nick a baby? My daughter asked, holding up her tablet like it was nothing. The screen lit up with a video, her voice, moaning his name. My heart dropped. I laughed then, out of instinct. I haven't laughed since. The night it all cracked open was just supposed to be quiet. I'd finished dinner, cold leftovers, because Ashley texted she was working late again, and I was rinsing the plates when I heard it. That tiny voice from the hallway. Daddy. Our daughter, Sophie, was standing in the doorway in her dinosaur pajamas, holding her tablet like it was something precious. She looked confused, a little sad. Why does mommy call Uncle Nick a baby? The words didn't land at first. I blinked at her. What do you mean? She turned the tablet toward me and tapped the screen with her little finger. The video started playing. At first, it was just the sound of giggling. Then a woman's voice, familiar, melodic, unmistakable. Ashley. God, baby, that feels so good, she said. Soft, intimate, coated in heat. You always know just how I like it. Then his voice, Nick's. My best friend since college. Godfather to my daughter. Laughing, cocky, whispering something I didn't catch, because by then, my ears were ringing. I reached out and paused the video. My hand was shaking. Not violently. Just a little tremor, like my nervous system couldn't decide whether to fight or flee. Sophie watched me with those big brown eyes, Ashley's eyes, and asked, did I do something wrong? I crouched down and wrapped her in my arms. No, baby. You did perfect. Later, after she fell asleep, I sat in the dark with the tablet, playing the video again and again. It wasn't long, 30 seconds, maybe 40. Just enough to make sure there were no doubts left. It had been recorded on Sophie's tablet by accident. One of those apps with a camera feature. She must have left it recording on the nightstand, and it caught everything. Ashley must not have noticed, or didn't care. The room was our guest bedroom. Nick's suitcase was visible in the corner. He stayed over sometimes when his job kept him in town late. Too much wine, I'll crash here, he used to joke. Guess the wine wasn't the only thing he was pouring. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't scream. Instead, I got up and started writing things down. Dates, patterns, subtle moments that hadn't made sense before. Ashley's new perfume she started wearing 6 months ago. The extra shower before bed. Her sudden interest in therapy, solo therapy, that she never wanted to talk about. And Nick. Always around. Always helpful. Always looking a little too comfortable in my house. I thought back to the last barbecue we had. The way they laughed over the grill, how she smacked his arm like a schoolgirl, how his hand lingered on her waist just a second too long when he passed her the tongs. I saw it then. But I didn't see it. Now I saw everything. The betrayal wasn't just in the act. It was in the way she still kissed me goodbye every morning, knowing what she'd done. It was in the way Nick looked me in the eye, cracked beers with me, played with my daughter. Snake. That night, I slept in Sophie's room. Just listened to her breathe. Let the sound anchor me. Because I knew what came next wasn't going to be clean. Or easy. But it would be necessary. The next morning, I made pancakes. Not out of hunger. I just needed a task. Something tactile, repeatable. Stir, pour, flip, stack. Sophie sat at the counter swinging her legs, still sleepy-eyed. Ashley walked in around 9 a.m. hair wet, makeup light, phone in hand. She kissed the top of Sophie's head, then turned that same mouth toward me. I turned away to get the syrup. Morning, she said. Yeah, I replied. She didn't notice the gap in my tone. Or if she did, she filed it away for later. That's what she does, compartmentalizes. Moves around consequences like furniture, puts them where she can't trip over them. She sat down and scrolled while Sophie told her about a dream involving a purple dragon and a talking apple. I watched Ashley nod at all the right moments, pretending she was engaged. But her thumb never stopped flicking. I wondered if she had seen the video yet. She hadn't mentioned it. Probably assumed Sophie was too young to expose her. That was her first mistake. Nick texted her while she was buttering toast. I saw the name light up the screen. Just R in her notifications, but the preview showed enough. Last night, damn. I still taste you. She tilted the phone away like a reflex. Classic move. Guilty body language. I made no comment. Just noted the time. 9:13 a.m. Saturday. After breakfast, she said she had errands to run. Offered to take Sophie with her. I told her no. I'd take care of Sophie today. Something about my voice made her pause. You sure? I nodded. Go. She left wearing my hoodie. The same one I'd seen balled up next to Nick's feet in the video. I nearly laughed at the poetic absurdity. My scent, his skin, her body. After she left, I called my brother. Hey, he answered, groggy. I need to borrow your camera gear. The good stuff. A pause. You into wildlife photography now or? I'm catching snakes. He didn't press. That's the kind of brother he is. Grew up with the same woman. Our mom wasn't unfaithful, but she was manipulative. Emotionally slippery. We both learned to detect lies by smell. I picked up the camera, and while Sophie watched cartoons, I installed the hidden lens in the hallway smoke detector. One in the living room, angled toward the couch. One in the guest room, tucked behind a stack of folded towels on the top shelf. If they came back here, my home, my walls, my daughter's roof, it would be documented. Later that night, Ashley came back smelling faintly of lavender and someone else's cologne. Not mine. Not Nick's usual scent, either. Something spicier. So either she'd masked it, or there was someone new. Snake didn't even bother to change skins. Just slithered in, dropped her purse, kissed our daughter, and asked what was for dinner. I ordered takeout and smiled. Don't forget your therapy session Monday, she said while flipping through a magazine. Therapy. She'd started a few months ago. Said she was trying to work through some issues that came from me emotionally detaching. I used to believe that. Now I saw it for what it was, cover fire. Plausible deniability. She was rewriting the narrative in advance, setting the stage to play the victim. Clever girl. But the thing about therapy is, records exist. Appointments, notes, timestamps. If she'd really gone this week like she claimed, I'd find the proof. And if she hadn't? Even better. Ashley started leaving earlier for work. Not suspiciously so, just 20 minutes here, 15 there. Always with a reason. Meeting with the regional manager. Traffic on the bridge has been brutal. Want to grab coffee before the rush. Each excuse believable on its own. And delivered with just enough fatigue in her voice to sell it. But patterns are only invisible when you're not looking. I was looking. By Wednesday, I had a timeline built. Her office opened at 9 a.m. She used to leave by 8:15, arrive by 8:45. This past week, she was out the door by 7:40. Yet her phone GPS, thanks to a synced family locator app she'd forgotten, had her still 20 blocks away from the bank at 8:55. I never confronted her. Confrontation gives liars too much power. They twist, reframe, cry if needed. Play defense like it's a reflex. I played silence. Let her feel safe. Let her walk deeper into her own fiction. Thursday night, she came home glowing. Not visibly. But I know her. Her steps were looser. Her voice softer. That kind of contentment doesn't come from spreadsheets and mortgages. I asked how her day went. She smiled, poured a glass of wine, leaned on the counter like a woman in control of her kingdom. Busy. But good. You know those days where everything just clicks. I stirred my tea, watching her over the rim of the mug. You see Nick today? She blinked. Just once. That half-second pause. No. Why? Just curious. Haven't seen him around lately. She shrugged. Probably swamped with work. Then, masterstroke, she pivoted. I've been thinking about us lately. About reconnecting. That one nearly made me laugh. Reconnecting. With Nick's fingerprints still drying on her skin. I nodded. That's good. I've been thinking too. The next morning, I drove Sophie to school. Before I got back, Ashley had already left. Perfect. I opened her laptop. The password was the same. Her birthday, twice. Typical narcissist. Emails, calendar, nothing incriminating. But she'd left her browser open. Private tab. Booking confirmation, Redwood Therapy Center. Monday, 11:30 a.m. I called. Hi, this is Mark Reed. I'm trying to confirm if my wife Ashley had a session with Dr. Jennings this past Monday. The receptionist hesitated. I'm sorry, sir. I can't share that information. It's a billing question, I cut in. Our insurance got charged, but the date seems off. Typing. A pause. Then, she was scheduled, but it was marked as a no-show. My chest didn't tighten. No surge of pain. Just data. Ashley was 30 miles away during that window, parked at a boutique hotel off the highway. I'd already pulled the GPS logs. So therapy was another lie. Not just now, but likely the whole time. Which meant she'd already built her story. Emotional neglect. Working husband. Lonely wife. Trying to heal, but unsupported. Classic. I started drafting my own narrative. A better one. Not for sympathy, but for the court. Because now the stakes were higher. This wasn't just about betrayal. It was about custody. Sophie was everything. She had to be protected from this slow-moving disaster wearing lipstick and office heels. I booked a consultation with a family attorney. Laid out what I had: video, GPS logs, work hours, fake therapy receipts. She listened. Quiet. Calculated. At the end, she said, Mr. Taft, you need to be very careful. This woman sounds prepared. If she's smart, she'll flip the narrative before you expose her. I already knew. That's why I wasn't going to expose her. Not yet. I was going to deepen the illusion. Let her think I was blind. Then cut the power, mid-scene. Ashley started doing this new thing. She'd touch me more. Lightly. A hand on the shoulder when she passed behind me. A kiss on the cheek when I brought her coffee. Compliments, here and there. My favorite, you've been so calm lately. It's really nice. Like she was taming a lion she thought was asleep. In truth, I was documenting everything. She didn't know I'd installed another hidden mic in the ceiling vent of the guest room. Or that her car's GPS synced to the same cloud account as our daughter's tablet. Ashley was building a version of herself she thought I'd swallow, remorseful, healing, maybe even open to reconnecting. But every word out of her mouth was a stitch in a quilt of fraud. The night it all tilted further was subtle. We were watching a movie, one of those forgettable Netflix thrillers she always picked to relax, when she asked, "Do you ever think we just stopped seeing each other?" I didn't look at her. Just paused the movie and sipped my beer. Stopped how? I don't know. Emotionally, maybe. Like, we're still in the same room, but we're not really here. I kept my tone even. Maybe. She nodded like that answer meant something. I talk about that a lot in therapy. I resisted the urge to say, which one, your licensed therapist or Nick's mouth. Instead, I said, good. You should. Let her keep talking. I used to think you didn't care anymore, she said, pulling her knees up on the couch. I felt invisible. Invisible enough to cheat. I said, watching her eyes. That caught her. A flicker. A defensive breath. What? Why would you say that? I let a beat pass. It was a joke. She laughed, high-pitched and too quick. God, don't do that. You scared me for a second. I watched the way she tucked her hair behind her ear. That same tell she'd always had when lying, something she used to do in college when she got caught sneaking cigarettes. Some tells never die. They just get dressed up. Later that night, I found a receipt in her purse from a bar downtown. A place she'd sworn she hadn't been in months. Paid for 2 drinks. The timestamp was 6:42 p.m. That was the exact time she'd called me, saying she was stuck in traffic on the bridge. She even put on the background noise, engine hum, a fake honk, the sound of a radio turned low. She manufactured a setting. That's when I realized, Ashley wasn't just cheating. She was rehearsing. Every call, every story, every detail. Crafted, clean, airtight. Like a stage play she thought I'd never see from the wings. But I wasn't in the audience anymore. I was backstage, pulling the curtains back. I went into the guest room after she fell asleep. Scanned the footage from earlier in the week. Sunday night. She had a wine glass in hand, curled up on the guest bed. Nick entered a few minutes later. They didn't touch, not at first. They talked. That was worse, somehow. He told her she looked lighter, and she smiled. Said she felt like she was finally finding herself. That she might be ready to reclaim her happiness. She said the word trapped. As in, I used to feel trapped. My name never came up, but I was everywhere in that room. In her voice, her posture, the way she gestured toward the hallway, toward the life she shared with me. The life I built. The roof I paid for. The child I protected. Trapped. She could have left. But she wanted both. The safety of me and the thrill of him. She wasn't trapped. She was greedy. And soon, I'd show her what real isolation felt like. Friday came with rain. Gray sky, steady drizzle. The kind of day that makes you feel like the world's holding its breath. Ashley left for an early client breakfast. Said it with a yawn and a kiss to Sophie's forehead. I stood at the window, watching her umbrella bloom open as she disappeared into the mist. At 8:37 a.m., her car parked outside the Winslow Suites. Boutique hotel. No conference rooms. No breakfast lounge. Just rooms with high thread count sheets and blackout curtains. I knew the manager. Years ago, I treated his son in the ER, compound fracture, football injury. He owed me a favor. By noon, I had a flash drive in my hand. Lobby footage. Parking lot. Hallway. Room 402. She didn't check in under her name. Used her maiden name. No ID was required, the manager arranged it. Said she'd left her wallet in the car. The front desk girl didn't question it. I sat in my car, engine off, flash drive plugged into my laptop. The footage wasn't graphic. Just clear. Nick entered first. Hoodie, sunglasses, like that would make a difference. She followed 10 minutes later. Different umbrella. Different purse. Same shoes from that morning. They didn't hug. No kiss in the hall. They moved like two people used to sneaking around. Comfortable with deceit. They stayed inside room 402 for 1 hour, 46 minutes. At 10:12 a.m., Nick exited. Alone. Looked both ways like a coward in a cheap crime movie. Ashley came out 10 minutes later, adjusted her blouse, reapplied lipstick in the hallway mirror. She looked refreshed. She looked like a woman who had no idea her entire foundation was about to collapse. That afternoon, I picked up Sophie from school and drove to my attorney's office. We sat across from each other while she reviewed the footage, the GPS logs, the video Sophie had accidentally captured. When it ended, she asked, "How do you want to proceed?" Quietly, I said. "For now." We drafted a separation strategy. Custody clauses. Asset distribution. Everything airtight. Ashley would receive the papers only after the final proof was in place. Because I wasn't done yet. See, I knew Nick. I knew his wife, too, Lauren. Sweet, quiet, 10 years of marriage, 2 boys. PTA president. The kind of woman who bakes extra cookies for her husband's co-workers. She deserved the truth. So I printed everything. Footage stills. Transcripts. GPS timelines. I made a folder, clean, labeled, color-coded. Mailed it to her office, marked personal and confidential. No return address. Let her open that Pandora's box in her own time. Ashley came home that night with Thai takeout and a new wine she said was on sale. She laughed about her co-workers, gossiped about someone's ugly haircut, and asked if I wanted to watch a movie later. I said yes. Played along. Because the snake doesn't strike mid-constriction. It waits. Tightens. I watched her pour wine into my glass. Watched her sip hers like it was communion. She had no idea she was drinking her last night of peace. Sunday morning came with sun. A crisp, beautiful lie of a day. Ashley was folding laundry, humming. Humming. Like this house hadn't turned into a theater of rot. Sophie was at a friend's birthday party down the block. I offered to drop her off. Ashley stayed behind, said she wanted to catch up on chores. I returned 20 minutes later. Quietly. Front door unlocked. I heard her on the phone before I saw her. He said he might take me to Charleston next month. I don't know, maybe I just need something new. This life feels like it's on repeat. Her voice was low, wistful. Honest in the way only cheaters ever are when they think no one's listening. I walked in and set the keys on the counter. Loud. She jumped like a thief. Oh. Hey, thought you were staying longer. I didn't answer. She hung up fast. Too fast. Who was that? I asked, just to see her work. She smiled. Just Tina. From work. Same voice she used when she asked if I'd remembered the milk. That smile was made of acid. Cool, I said. Can we talk a sec? She nodded, folding a pair of Sophie's leggings. Sure. What's up? I handed her a single sheet of paper. Not the court documents. Not the footage. Just a timeline. Her movements over the last 3 months. Dates, times, GPS logs, photos. Each item labeled in calm, clinical language. She scanned it slowly. Then again. Her fingers trembled, but she didn't let go of the paper. What is this? She whispered. It's where you've been. While I was working. While Sophie was asking when Mommy would be home. She folded the paper neatly. Too neatly. Like it was a receipt. You've been spying on me. There it was. The pivot. The gaslight. No. Just listening, I said. For the first time in a while. She started walking toward the bedroom. This is insane. You're violating my privacy. I followed. Come. There's more, I said, and placed the tablet on the bed. Hit play. Her voice. Again. That clip. Her moan. Nick's name. She froze mid-step. She didn't cry. Not yet. Just turned away, like seeing her own face in a mirror during a lie. Then she asked the question all guilty people eventually ask. What do you want from me? The phrasing was everything. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I can explain. Just, what do you want? I already have what I want, I said. The truth. And proof. She tried sitting. Couldn't. Just stood there, holding her own arms like they might keep her from unraveling. I let silence fill the space. Let it choke her a bit. Then I said, you'll be receiving papers soon. I suggest you read them carefully. Her mouth opened. I have rights. Which are listed in detail, I cut in. And if you fight me on Sophie's custody, I'll submit the footage. All of it. Including the part where she asks why you're calling another man baby. She paled. Finally, tears started to form, but I wasn't buying. Not after months of her practicing that face for the mirror. Then came the second pivot, anger. You're going to ruin everything because I made a mistake. I smiled. No, Ashley. You already ruined it. I'm just putting it in writing. I left her standing in the bedroom, eyes wide, mouth open, body still. She looked smaller. Like a person in an earthquake, trying to figure out where the floor had gone. That night, I slept like a man unchained. Ashley didn't speak to me the next morning. She made coffee. Didn't pour mine. Moved around the kitchen like I was a ghost she was trying to exorcise through routine. I sat at the table, watching her back. Not angry. Just documenting. The night before had pulled something loose in her. The show was over, and she knew it. But instead of remorse, she turned inward, sharpening her silence into a shield. I let her have it. After breakfast, I dropped Sophie off at my parents' for the weekend. Told Ashley it was so we could talk freely. She nodded, but I could see the worry working behind her eyes. She knew something was coming. She just didn't know how public it would be. At noon, I emailed Lauren Atchison. Subject: I think you deserve the truth. Attached: 4 video clips. 7 photos. 2 screenshots of text message logs, time-stamped. All labeled, all clean. I left the house shortly after. Drove to the hardware store. Bought nothing. Just needed the motion of it, of walking through aisles, hands in pockets, while the world shifted. At 2:43 p.m., Lauren called. She didn't scream. Didn't cry. "Thank you," she said, voice tight. I knew something was wrong, but not like this. "I'm sorry," I said. "Don't be. You're giving me clarity." He never did. We hung up. Ashley texted me an hour later. "Did you talk to Lauren?" I didn't reply. An hour after that. "You had no right. You promised me we'd handle this privately." Then came the call. I let it ring out. At 6:12 p.m., Ashley's phone rang in the kitchen. I was sitting on the couch. She walked in, holding it like it was radioactive. "It's Nick," she said, eyes dark. I nodded. "Might want to take that in the other room." She answered, walked down the hall, door shut. She didn't know her voice still carried through the vent. "Lauren knows." "Yes, him." "No, I don't know how." "She has the video." Silence. "Then, she's filing. She wants custody." Longer silence. Then something low, panicked. I couldn't make out the words, but I heard the emotion, desperation. Nick was unraveling. His perfect world of affair and home life, gone. She came out 10 minutes later. Face pale, breathing uneven. "Happy now?" she asked. I tilted my head. "Not yet." She laughed bitterly. "You think you've won? You think destroying 2 families makes you righteous?" "No," I said. "Just honest." She stared at me, waiting for emotion. For a crack in the ice. I gave her nothing. "People will know what you did," she said finally. "Good. Let them. Truth's cheaper than your lies." That night, I sent the video to her therapist. Attached was a note. "She's been using your sessions to frame a narrative. Just thought you should know." The therapist responded the next day. "Thank you. I've ended our sessions permanently." Ashley came home to find the lock changed on the guest room. Nick's overnight bag was in the hallway, zipped and waiting. "I want that gone," I said. She stood there, dead still. "That's not your call." "It is now. It's my house. My name's on everything. And soon, your name won't be." I walked past her, down the hall, into silence. That night, she slept on the couch. Her throne of lies was officially dismantled. And all I had to do was wait. Ashley was served the next morning. Right there in the bank lobby. Papers handed over by a clean-cut process server who said her name like it was a sentence. Ashley Taft. She looked up from her desk, heels paused mid-step, and nodded. "You've been served." Simple. Quiet. Devastating. The documents were thick: separation agreement, custody terms, non-disparagement clause, digital evidence inventory. All neat. All lawful. All final. She called me 4 times that afternoon. I didn't answer. Her 5th attempt was a text. "We agreed this wouldn't go public." I replied. "You agreed." I documented. That evening, she came home early. Sat across from me at the kitchen table, eyes red-rimmed but dry. "Why are you doing this?" The question landed like a brick in a window. "Because I already did everything else," I said. Stayed. Waited. Believed. That's all over now. She looked around the kitchen, like maybe the walls would speak up for her. The walls she whispered through. Lied under. You said you didn't want revenge. I don't, I said. I want consequence. She ran a hand through her hair. So what happens now? I slid a pen across the table. The paperwork was already printed. You sign. You agree to full physical custody. No alimony. No media contact. You keep your job. I keep our daughter. Her lip twitched. You think you're going to control the story? I don't need to. I just need to end yours. For a moment, she didn't move. Then slowly, with trembling hands, she began to sign. She paused at the third page. The clause that outlined the footage. The irrefutable evidence section. Her hand hovered. If I don't sign, then it becomes public. Your boss sees it. So does HR. So does the licensing board for the bank. Her pen touched paper. One line. Then the next. At the end, she dropped the pen like it burned. You don't care about what this does to me. I met her eyes. Not anymore. The next day, I left a package at Nick's office. No threats. No labels. Just a clean printout of the signed papers and a post-it. She's your problem now. Lauren had already filed. His kids were staying with her parents. He was unraveling. Ashley, now officially my soon-to-be ex-wife, started sleeping at a friend's house. The apartment was mine. Legally. Fully. I changed the locks that night. Sophie never asked where her mother went. Not once. I kept the answer soft and simple: she's taking a break. She needs time. But someday, when the question becomes sharper, more pointed, I'll show her everything. Not to punish, but to prepare her. To make sure she never becomes her mother. Ashley didn't fight the divorce. She met with her lawyer once, signed the final documents without a word. No counters. No letters. Just signatures on dotted lines that closed the last chapter of her performance. The decree arrived 2 weeks later, stamped and sealed. Dissolution of marriage. Custody, sole, with visitation at my discretion. Alimony, waived. Assets, already divided. I kept the apartment, the car, the accounts that mattered. She left with her wardrobe, a few boxes, and her Echo. She moved into a one-bedroom near the city line. Lauren's lawyer filed a restraining order against Nick. His business took a hit, clients canceled, employees resigned, and his face quietly vanished from the company's website. The last time I saw him was in a parking lot behind a strip mall, alone, smoking. He looked thinner. Eyes sunken. He didn't see me. Didn't need to. Ashley called once after the papers were finalized. Just once. Do you ever think we could have fixed it? I didn't answer. Some questions are invitations. Some are traps. And some are just echoes from a person who no longer exists. Sophie adjusted faster than I expected. Kids are like that. Resilient. She stopped asking why mommy didn't live with us. Stopped bringing her up at bedtime. One night, while brushing her teeth, she looked up at me in the mirror and said, "You're not sad anymore." I met her eyes. No. I'm not. It wasn't happiness. It was something cleaner. Clarity. The kind of peace that comes after you walk through fire and realize you're still standing. I deleted the footage. Every clip. Every photo. Every document. Gone. Not because I forgave. But because I didn't need it anymore. Evidence is for battles. I'd already won the war. Sometimes I drive past Ashley's new place, just out of curiosity. Lights on. Blinds closed. A flicker of movement behind frosted glass. Let her keep her silence. Let her build her new version of herself. I'm not chasing ghosts. I'm not bleeding from wounds she no longer has access to. I'm raising my daughter. Living my life. And when people ask why we split, I say, different values. They never push. Because some truths don't need drama. Just distance. Just a closed door. Just silence.